right, tonight, 2 out of every 3 Americans eligible for COVID shots are now fully vaccinated. Some who aren't continue to dig in their heels and are protesting against vaccine mandates. We get more on this from CBS's Carter Evans.
Small but vocal groups of California parents are pushing back against a statewide mandate requiring all students be vaccinated as soon as they're eligible and the FDA gives full approval.
I think that we should have the right to be able to choose whether or not we want our kids to be injected with antifreeze and formaldehyde.
That's not accurate, and it's the kind of misinformation some parents are falling victim to, according to Dr. Peter Hotez.
Can you explain how this is not an experiment on children?
Research and development for over a decade went into this current generation of COVID vaccines. So these are as well vetted and tested as just about any vaccines we've ever used.
Today is the deadline in Washington state for public employees, healthcare workers, and school employees to be fully vaccinated or risk losing their jobs. Governor Inslee says he will not delay the deadline.
This is the last time you'll hear me in a state patrol car. And Jay Inslee can kiss my ass.
In Chicago, the police union says more than a third of officers still have not reported they're vaccinated, and their union leader is urging them to hold the line.
Okay, welcome. Giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. The bonus to the elders apostle, great millstone, and shalom to the sincere believers of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. In this video, we're going to talk about pending civil war. So what we have happening now is opposing views on the injection of people that's with the receiving the injection and people that are against receiving the injection. And the ones that's against the injection, you have a lot of them protesting. Some are even walking off the job. Some are being fired from their job. And it's all causing a division. A division between friends and families and the whole world. But the Lord spoke about these times and these events in the scriptures, and the prophecies are beginning to speak louder and louder, and then beginning to unfold until this place be destroyed, because the Most High has spoken it, and the words of the Most High are coming to pass. Now it says here in Isaiah 19, beginning at verse 1, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And Yahweh Shai, he's returning back in that cloud, which the world identify or label as a so-called UFO. Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom and against kingdom. And that's what's happening right now. The country is being divided, and it says city against city, because now you have different states that are opposed to making mandatory this juice, this injection, and each state have different laws. And what's happening in one state, something totally different may be happening in another state. But that's the scripture being unfolded And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. You know, and that's what's happening, which is going to lead to a third world war eventually. Because the third world war is going to be the end of the wars, to end all wars.
Fears of life on us, and every single time they claim that it's in the best interest of all of us. You sit here claiming again that you have the best interest of our children at heart. You sit here claiming that you're doing what's best for our children's health, what's best for human interest. What's best for human interest will and always be allowing humans to have their own personal freedom of choice without someone forcing their own will or their own fears on us. Yet again, you're starting segregation based off of your own fears and your own personal interests. The people of this country have had enough, and we are fighting back. I have something to give you. Security, would you do me a favor? Would you please hand those forms to the board members starting with Jar? You have been officially served a $200 million lawsuit with 6 complaints and violations under multiple amendments. Your job is not to be concerned with the children's health. You're not nurses. You're not doctors. You are not responsible for their health organization. Your only focus is on our children's education. Yet the education system here is 50th in the state, and you make almost more money than anybody else. It is very clear that you have failed at doing that job. This country is not alone. It's time that we wake up, and we're going to give you lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. You can throw it out as much as you want, but we're going to keep this paperwork on your desk and keep a problem going until we get exactly what we want. This is not a negotiation. We will have our freedom of choice, and we're going to see you in court.
Your laugh is disgusting!
Now, this is Mark 3:24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. You know, and that's what's going on. In Chicago, you had a lot of people that work for law enforcement resign from their job. But in other states is different. They haven't yet fully made it mandatory, but yet it's going to come. Along with food shortages, along with riots, because you have people protesting right now, but guess what? Peaceful protest turns into riots. So now this is 2 Esdras 15:14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Now, the sword is referencing towards different weaponry. Some people gonna have guns. Some people have cocktail bombs, whatever weapon of their choice. So that's what it means by swords in their hands. And verse 16, for there shall be sedition amongst men. And a sedition is the uprising against the government, and invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor prince. And the kings and the prince is referencing towards the government officials. Because at this point, nobody believes in the government officials. It's been proven back to back that everything they say is a lie. They tell you one thing and say something completely different months later. So it says, they shall not regard their kings nor their prince, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, and a man shall desire Now it says the course of the acts to stand in their power, meaning they're going to be doing what they want to do. And 17, and a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. So a lot of people is not going to be able to travel from one state to another state because there's going to be more restrictions. Okay, verse 18, for because of their pride, the city should be troubled, the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. All right, now it's now been making it to mainstream news with the supply chain and products is not being, delivered to the stores for people to get their essential things. And they've been warning the people of shortages or severe shortages, warning the people to do their Christmas shopping early, because in the winter time a lot of the shelves is not going to be stocked. So going back, for because of their pride the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. Now when a person doesn't have anything, that leads to looting, it leads to crime rising and robbery. Because guess what, if it is a food and water shortage, guess what's going to happen? A person going to go and take it from his neighbor. So now verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because the lack of bread. See, bread is referencing towards food. And for great tribulation. I ain't say it, the scriptures said it. So what's happening now is not by chance or coincidence. These are all the things that the Most High spoke about, and the Lord said it was going to happen. But and majority of the people took it as a joke. But the ones that's of the elect, they took it serious. Now, this is Matthew 24, and I'm just going to try to just hit the point. Verse 11, going down to 12. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And that's going to these, beginning with these different Israelite camps, down to the pastors in the church. Now, yesterday, the matter of fact, the commanding general Yohana from the ISUPK was doing a live yesterday. I just so happened to tune in and click on to see what he's talking about, and the guy wasn't talking about nothing. He was talking about Colin Kaepernick, Dave Chappelle, and the LGBT, and no scriptures came out the whole time. And they make like every 20 minutes they may quote or summarize the scripture, but never go into those scriptures. And like for like a 30-minute straight, no scriptures came out. It was just talking. It was just like a radio, which it is a radio show, but no scriptures coming out. The scripture said to feed my flock, not with our words, but the words of the Most High, and bring out the scriptures, because we represent the mouthpiece of the Most High. But the point is, many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And he's telling people to take the injection. He ain't warning you about the judgment of the Most High and the events that's going to take place, that's prophesied in the scriptures. Now verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Now, and that's beginning to happen now through this division, because you have people with different political views. They didn't talk to their family members in a long time just because of political views. One person may be a Trump supporter. The next member of the family may be a Biden supporter. One person may be a pro-vaxxer, and the next person may be an anti-vaxxer. And through that cause division. And which used to be family, now they look at each other as enemies because of different opposing views. So when the things get hard, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna break into each other's crib. So, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Now, what it means to endure? To endure in the faith. While all this is happening, you're gonna have to keep your faith. Those are the ones that's gonna be delivered, because you're gonna be put in circumstances, and Satan's gonna come harder to try to make you fumble your faith. But you're gonna have to fight, and the way you fight is through the words, staying in the scriptures, studying the scriptures, applying the scriptures. Because just regurgitating the scriptures is not enough. You got to apply them. Now verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then should the end come. And this word had reached the ends. That's why these things are happening right now. I seen a video of some brothers teaching in Swahili. And I'm not mistaken, I believe they from Kenya. You know? And they sincere. So that will have to be Israelites. Because Israel is scattered throughout the world. And the elect is scattered throughout the world. So, Lord willing, I hope this video has been edifying. And I'm going to close with that. And again, I'm going to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Kodash, Shalom.